Welcome to the Start Something Show. Join world-renowned experts, change agents, and everyday folks who have done the amazing. All here to help you start something incredible. Now it's time to step out, live your perfect day, and create a legacy with your host, Tina Dietz.
Yes, my super starters, it is that time again for the Start Something Show. This is Tina Dietz, and welcome. As always, super pumped to have Elaine Lindsay on the show today because she is not only a super cool person and a glamma, as she coins herself, but she's also our very own bionic woman and social media expert. So, you could have the perfect woman right there. We're going to have a great talk with her later in the show today. But today is also when we talk about a tech tip of the month. So you can hashtag Superstarter Tech Tip. And if we choose yours, we will give you a shout out on the air and maybe some other cool stuff as well. You can also go to the startsomethingshow.com, go to the contact us page and give us your tech tip for small business. We love to pay it forward. Today's tech tip is about Canva.com. Now, I know that I, for one, cannot use Photoshop to save my life. I don't want to learn how to use it. There are people out there who do amazing things with it. It's just incredible. But yeah, you know what? That's not me. So when I need to come up with a graphic and either I don't have time or I decide it's not worth it to hire a graphic designer to work with it, I go to canva.com, that's Canva.com, and go to my free account and I create an image using their platform. Basically, I can upload my own stuff to make everything from a banner to a social media post to a flyer to a postcard. And the images come out very high res, very high quality. And I can either share right from the Canva platform where I want it to go or just download it to my own computer. And I'm good to go with a beautiful graphic that I get to approve myself or I have an assistant help me with. Very, very useful online tool. Check out Canva.com and see if it works for you. Today on the Start Something Show, my guest is Elaine Lindsay, who describes herself as a kind of bionic Pollyanna. So we'll see if she makes that cool noise here on the show today. She is a social media consultant and a Google Plus evangelist who teaches others how to host their own show like a pro, utilizing Google Hangouts and YouTube live events. Elaine is an early adopter and a featured authority in 2 #1 bestsellers, Social Media Myths Busted and Solving the Social Media Puzzle. Elaine is also the host of Business Banter Plus TV, and she appears as a guest expert on a number of places, including CTV Mornings Ottawa, the Learning Curve podcast in Dubai, and she is the Dean of Digital Media for Social Buzz Club University. Elaine, thanks for starting something with me today.
Oh, good day. It's wonderful to be here with you, Tina. And
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited too because, I highly respect you, and it's really exciting to get to chat with you in a podcast format.
Oh, yeah. Well, the feeling is mutual. Are you ready to dive right in?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Take us back to when you were getting started. When did you know you wanted to change your life and start something?
Well, it's funny. Throughout my life, I've done a lot of start something. And it's sort of odd because I say I'm kind of bionic because, quite frankly, I really am. I have a lot of bionic parts. They're not original. It's not the factory model here. There's a lot of additions and a few minuses as well. But because of that, there were huge chunks of my life where I couldn't attend to me personally, much less business. So it meant that there were a lot of start somethings, and then there were a lot of, you can't do anything. I will say that in the 2000s, I started working very deeply with a self-mastery teacher, a spiritual mentor that my son has actually dubbed her the holistic missile. And she was able to help me learn to focus and meditate and do all the things I could do that allowed me to now stay on a better business track. So the best, the greatest, the most close to my passion, start something, is social media. And it's combined with search, which is certainly a very different way of going about it than most people.
When you say it's combined with search, you mean it's combined with search engine work?
Yeah.
Or people being able to be found on search engines? That is very distinct, and a lot of people don't know that.
Well, see, the thing is, okay, my background started in design, like interiors. And then as my health declined and I had other issues, I had to move that into a venue that I could manage without having to do stairs, is really what it amounted to. So in 1999, when I first designed a website for someone, it very quickly became apparent to me that I could make the most beautiful site in the world. If people couldn't get to it or they didn't know how to find it, it was completely irrelevant. And
that's so true.
For me, that led to, searching out, and very quickly thereafter, 2002, 2003, I got into search engine optimization, which for me was a combination of not just the web design, but all of the ways that you could amp up with your keywords and, making sure that you had good links and good content. I was always white hat. I'm a real believer in building yourself through search organically. So for me, that was always part of the equation. What I found really bizarre and how I got into social was that people tend to compartmentalize all these pieces. So like the website and then the blog, and then you had your search pieces, and you sometimes had like a web development team and you had your graphic designers, and they didn't talk to each other. So you had all these pieces that were great. They were good pieces on their own, but when they weren't integrated, they weren't optimally doing what they should be doing. So when social media came along, I didn't even realize it was a career, to be honest with you. Okay, I got on social media. I think I was on LinkedIn in 2005. Twitter, well, you'll see that I'm rather verbose, so Twitter didn't really fit me back then. And Facebook.
You can't contain us in 140
exactly,
characters.
140 characters? Are you kidding me? Like, I can barely spit out my name and what I am in 140 characters. But 2007, Facebook, the minute, honest to God, the minute they opened their doors to people other than college students, I was on there like a shot, and only for a very, very selfish reason. I wanted to be able to stalk my children and not annoy the hell out of them by phoning every day. So for me, it was, purely a personal thing. But within the first week, it occurred to me that this would be really cool to give more exposure to my web clients. And the minute they opened fan pages, that's exactly what I did. I, brought my clients in and said, this is what we're going to do. Still, no idea that social media is anything other than this, free sort of fun platform. 2009 and 10, people started saying, you're such a damn schmoozer. You should be in social media. And I kept saying, it's not a job. And everybody, it really is. People are doing this, and I thought, okay, that's different. I did some research, and by 2010, I was really thirsting for something not just new, but I needed to start something that was going to engage both parts of my brain, okay, and have my heart in there. Because I'd been doing, website maintenance and SEO for years, and there just wasn't that deep passion that for me really fuels me. And when someone's chronically ill, you need a lot of passion to fuel you to keep doing pretty much anything. So in my research, I spoke with Tina Cook in South Africa, and she said, oh, you have to connect with Mari Smith. So I did some more research, signed up for the Relationship Marketing Institute. We remortgaged our house so that I could get the schooling I thought I needed, and I dove in literally head first. and in full bore. Every inch, every bit of titanium was right in there. And
beautiful.
Wow. Yeah,
wow.
so loved the concept that, oh, wow, this is that other piece. And for me, in 2011, people kept looking at me like I was nuts. But as I started speaking around North America about what I saw, people would think, what the hell is she talking about? Because to me, I said, you have to create a unified whole. Your website, your blog, your search engine optimization, and listen to me, people, your social. It's all going to be part of that one, what I call your digital web presence. And, I was shouting in the wilderness in 2011. And then, God bless us, Google Plus came along. I got in on day 3 and right away saw that Google Plus's social piece was just a layer of the top search engine in the world. So here, what I'd been saying to me was being clarified, and I was being led down the path I needed to go. And right away, late 2011, when Google search went semantic, semantic is contextual. It means that the search engines are no longer just looking for the exact keyword you're putting in. They're building on the context of what you asked. It's not a single word thing. And the most interesting part, a piece, one of the now key factors in search is your social proof. So, hallelujah, 2012, and it's like, yes, yes, yes. Search and social are integrated, and that's how you work on optimization. And you'll probably, you've been in this arena long enough to know that SMO was around for a while, social media optimization.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, and I kept saying to people, okay, you have to put the puzzle together. Okay, those little pieces of the puzzle, yes, they're lovely, but they will work much better for you when you pull it all together.
Yes, they will. They will. Let me ask you another question.
Yes.
I want to go back to something you said a little while ago. You said you're dealing with some, chronic conditions. You have a lot of titanium parts, not factory model. Now, how did you set up your business to be able to handle the issues that you have to deal with physically?
Well, that's a really good question. And basically, I had to set up my business and any business that I want to handle to fit how I can function, because there are days where, quite frankly, I can't function at all. And there are many days where the work I do is done in the middle of the night. And then sometimes it's done in big chunks. So, quite frankly, this arena for me, from the web design through the SEO to the social, is really tailor-made for someone that has the challenges of not always being able to do things at the same time everybody else does. So it was a real consideration in the beginning of what I was setting up and how I set it up. I'm a very open person. I didn't used to tell people really what happened to me, but I let them know that I did have some basic physical challenges and that my timing would not always be that of everyone else. The beauty of social is we have all these tools like Hootsuite and we used to have MarketSuite. They were just bought out by another company, but it's still a viable dashboard that allows you to pre-schedule what you're doing. I do make a point of, I have a smartphone and a tablet and all kinds of things that make it easier for me if I'm having a bad day where I really can't physically sit in the office. I have the tools that I can take with me, whether I'm on the couch or whether I'm actually in bed. I do have the tools to do what I need to do on a day-to-day basis. But my office is set, with a special stool to put my leg on because I lost part of my leg. So I'm very prone to blood clots in that leg. So I have to be very cognizant of how my legs are feeling and what my time frames are before how long I sit, how I move, that kind of thing. I suppose it can be a little challenging But to be honest with you, this all started back in 1976, so I've been doing it for a while.
Right, exactly. But yet, some people would have simply gone on disability and called it a day.
Well,
but you decided to take a completely different path and build not just one, but multiple businesses.
Well, I don't honestly think I had any choice in the matter. I think my brain would have gone to mush if I didn't do something. I'm the sort of person that I love to learn. And I think I might have mentioned to you in one of the first times we talked, I didn't go to university. And I actually allowed that to be a huge limiting belief and stopper in my life up until about 2 years ago. And now remember, I've been doing this for a lot longer than that, but I would often sort of pull myself back from bigger contracts thinking, I'm not good enough. I don't have a degree, so therefore I don't fit there. And that was a bit of an issue for a long, long time. But I worked with a big business coach, and in the past few years, come to realize that all that downtime, quite frankly, when you're lying in the hospital for months on end, the only thing I could do back then, even before computers, was read. I was a voracious reader. I devoured books on everything you can imagine. Like, I actually learned to drive by reading a book. Now,
that makes me a little nervous, Elaine, I got to tell you.
No, because there was a car involved, okay?
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad there was a car involved at some point.
After the reading, I'm going to be honest, and this is just, it'll prove my point saying I'm pretty honest. A friend and I stole a friend's car, and she drove it out to the country. It was a standard shift, and the only way we could get back to the city was she told me I'd have to drive it back to the city. So
necessity is the mother of invention,
exactly.
As they say.
So,
that is a riot.
Once again, Danny, I'm sorry about your clutch, but we did get back to the city. And we did
That's a really, really good friend. That's a really good friend.
He was awesome.
So what would you say in all of this was the biggest business risk you've ever taken?
Actually, to be honest, I think social media. Because once I decided to dive in, and this is something, to most people who look in on social media and, all of the social channels that are out there, people look and think, oh, wow, that's the millennials area. And I'm here to tell you, I'm going to be 60 in November. So when I decided to really put all the eggs in the social and search basket, it was a big deal to really look deep and think, oh my God, is this going to work? I am older than the bulk of the people that do this. Is my age going to stand in my way? And the passion in me and the fact that I just love to talk and love to talk to people, basically it just became a non-issue. It was like, nope, I'm doing it. And, from there I went into the Hangouts, which is, doing the online video. And all of that was so difficult for me to accept the visibility part.
Yeah, because you were live and on video at that point.
Well, this is it. And it was all tied up with my age and where did I fit. And more to the point, it's one thing to talk to people online when you don't see them. And it's even in video, it's great. People see you basically from the waist up. So it's not immediately evident that I have mobility issues. It's not something that, you can't just read it in my face. Yes, I have scars, in and around my face and on my neck and pretty much everywhere. But it's not a disability that you're going to immediately catch on to. So that was a real mind bender because that's a huge part of my business. And you cannot lead people into video if you're not willing to be seen.
Exactly. Now, and, one of the things I've noticed myself, you mentioned the younger generations and people who are in the social media digital world. And from my own experience mentoring things like startup weekends and those kinds of events where there tend to be a lot of very technically skilled people, one of the things that always stands out for me, and I'm sure you've noticed the same thing, is that folks like you and I, who are very verbal, very much kind of I would call us frontmen in terms of our social interaction with people and drawing information out of people, are actually going to be the minority in those situations, because folks who tend to be extremely technical and have an enormous amount of expertise in the technical world, because they have expertise, sometimes have a challenge bringing their language back down to a basic level.
Oh, absolutely. And that's
and so it's very cool that, I know that something that's really phenomenal about you is you are able to bridge that gap for people.
Well, yeah, because, see, I tend to make things really simple. Okay? Like, no matter what it is, to me, in my head, it always becomes kind of simple. And millennials and those under 40 that have, like, incredible technical expertise, I mean, all of it far outweighs mine. There's no two ways about that. But if you show them that you have an interest in them, okay, and this is true of anybody. It doesn't matter what they do. They could be a nuclear physicist. If you are truly interested in hearing what they have to say, and you can try to approach it in language they can understand, you're going to have a great conversation.
Exactly. I wanted you to expound a little bit more about the connection between the spiritual unfolding that you had and how that actually worked out in you finding your path, because most people think that the two are very distinct from each other. There's a lot of buzz in the coaching world about finding your purpose, and that can seem like a really weird, nebulous, goofy thing. But this is a really great example, I think, of how you have to go within to find what your external expression is going to be, the contribution you're making in the world. So you said you worked with someone specifically around this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really good point. And I'm currently writing a book. And it's funny, the book has morphed from my autobiography into a business book that's surrounded by autobiographical stories.
We can't help ourselves, let's face it.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah.
But a lot of that has to do with, her name is Patricia Wall, and she's now actually using the Holistic Missile as a title.
That's fantastic. Yeah. I love that.
And it's so, so true. And when I went to this person, people had been trying to get me to go see her for a couple of years because, for the people that are listening, I didn't just have one accident, okay? I seem to, the universe hits some people with bricks. People say that. Well, in my case, it was vehicles. And we're talking multiple vehicles,
Delightful.
Multiple times.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, you're just not really listening. And in 1997, I was actually, we were followed by a man who was deeply into his road rage in a parking lot. And I protected my children and my then granddaughter by stepping in the way. So he tried to back off with me on his hood. That accident, in actual fact, was one of the best things that ever happened, because it forced me to go deep inside and go, okay, there is one common denominator here, and it's me. So there's got to be more to life than this. There has to be something more. And I literally went into devouring the Ninth Insight, the Four Agreements, anything I could get my hands on. I think I've read every chicken soup for the whatever it is.
Every kind of soul imaginable.
Yeah.
Yes.
And really started to see these patterns emerging that really started to show me that, you know what, I'm in charge here. This spiritual piece isn't a piece. It's the core of who I am. I'm very blessed and very thankful for the gifts I have, one of which is I've got a really good memory and I love to learn. So I had I have all this knowledge, and I kept getting hit by the stumbling blocks of my illnesses and surgeries and what have you, I thought, God, there's got to be more for me. This can't constantly be this roller coaster of stop and start and stop and start. So when I got to work with Patricia, who really delved deep and showed me that if I can get to the core of me, then I could learn what my true purpose and passion was, and that external expression then became a business. Because something I didn't realize until I worked with her for quite a few years, I'm not one of these people that's motivated by money. I love to be able to help. If I see somebody needs something, there's nothing makes me happier than being able to help them. That's not the best attitude to run a successful business. It actually can be detrimental to putting it out there, because something that I find incredibly simple, other people find difficult. And often, for years, I would do things for people and say, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Well, no, we have to pay you. No, don't worry about it. And it finally was brought to my attention that, yeah, this is not a business. You can't just be, the charity brain. You actually have to make this work for you as well. So there was a huge learning curve there for me that worked with this spiritual mentor who not only helped me get past all my physical bits and pieces, but pull in my soul and understand, I hate to use the buzzwords, the limiting beliefs, but we all have them.
We do, definitely.
Money wasn't considered to be not something you should go after. It's not it wasn't done. I'm British. And I had to learn that, money's a great tool. And the way you can be yourself and live your purpose and also give back in this world is by having the money to be able to do those things.
Exactly. I love the analogy of money as fuel.
Yeah.
That's really all it is. It's fuel. And by bringing that fuel in, then we have, again, more fuel to put out into the world as well.
Absolutely.
That's the privilege of being an entrepreneur, of being a business owner, is being able to pull that forward and to not only feed yourself and your family and have a wonderful life and nurture yourself so that you can do more for others.
Yeah.
But also that, as your business grows, then you build a team and then it's a contribution to them and so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
It's that ripple in the pond effect. And every single human being has some kind of conversation about money. And we all have to deal with it one way or another. It's pretty crucial whether you own a business or not if you really want to have a great life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could not have said that.
Now, if you were just starting out today and you had your knowledge, but not the resources you've developed over the years, what would be some of the first things you would do to start something today?
The first thing I would do is hire a business coach. I have, as I said to you, started so many things, and we did an awful lot of research. Research is a big part of it. Whatever it is you're going to do your research. But I now believe the best thing you can do right from the start of your idea is, even in an advisory capacity, get yourself a business coach that's going to be sure you're putting the correct systems in place, so that as your idea, as your baby grows, and, it really is, when you're an entrepreneur, your business is your baby.
It really is.
In order for that baby to grow and thrive, you have to have the appropriate systems in place. And that's something we don't often know when we're starting. When you're in the throes and the excitement of starting something new, you're not really thinking about that. So that, for me, is probably the key to starting anything. The second, as I said, research. Research to me is it's as important as breathing. And we now have the ability to search anywhere for anything, and a really easy way to connect with people all around the world. And there's tons and tons of people out there that are experts in their field that are willing to help you. If you don't mind, I just want to digress for 1 second here. I just said experts, and the fact is, if you build relationships with experts in the niches and around the niches you want to work in, it can be so helpful to you. I wrote a thank you blog post yesterday because I had reached out to an SEO expert. I mean, SEO is what I do, but David Amerland is one of the top people in the world in my estimation. And I just had a question. I just wanted to be sure because I didn't want to, cost this possible client money. So I reached out to this expert, got a great answer for what I needed, and it all happened in under 5 minutes.
Perfect.
Now, how great is
It's
that?
all about the relationships.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind everyone, all of our super starters out there, that everything that Elaine talked about today, all of the links, the books she mentioned, people she talked about and all that, if you go back to thestartsomething.show.com and go to her show page, you'll be able to find links to all of those resources, because we want to make sure that if you heard something awesome and you were listening in the car or on a walk or something like that, that you weren't scrambling for something to write it down on. So we take care of all of that for you at thestartsomething.show.com. And we're going to have a lot more with Elaine on our backstage pass, where we're going to get into talking about Google Hangouts events, the ups and downs and do's and don'ts of social media, and what it means to be an early adopter of new technology. So please make sure you join us on the backstage pass at thestartsomething.show.com. And Elaine, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tina. This has been awesome.
Always such a pleasure. Okay, super starters, we'll see you next week.
Start something with purpose. Start something with freedom. Start something now. Go to thestartsomethingshow.com, join our community of super starters, and get your perfect day planner pack, a free resource to help you create the life you've dreamed of living. Take action now, and we'll see you for our next exciting episode.